Today, the IDF announced that it recovered the murdered bodies of Shani Luke, Yitzhak Galante, and Amit Buskila, 3 people who were at the Nova Festival and were kidnapped by Hamas. 2 of them were presumed to be alive till now. And there's a horrendous video going around of how the families notified for 200 days. They prayed, they cried, they couldn't sleep. And then the moment came when they were notified that their loved one was killed and murdered by Hamas terrorists at the Nova Festival. And then their bodies were taken to Gaza, where they were buried in Gaza. And it made me think about the heroic mission that the IDF did. They found out the location because in the fighting in Rafah, which should have happened 4 months ago, Israel killed 200 terrorists already and kidnapped 50, captured 50, and 50 of the captured terrorists, one of them told them where these bodies were buried. But it reminded me of how valuable and how special and how precious the IDF soldiers are, because in this week's Torah portion, Emor, we read the laws of the Kohanim, and the rabbis tell us that the high priest had to always be in a state of purity and always be ready to serve in the holy temple, and therefore the Torah forbids him from going to any funeral, even his parents. As opposed to everyone else, the Kohen Gadol did not go to funerals, because when you would go to funerals and be in the same building as someone who was deceased, he would become impure. And therefore the Kohen Gadol, the holiest pure person who represented all the Jewish people, was not allowed to go to any funerals. But then the Torah makes one condition where the high priest is allowed to go to a funeral. And that's what we call a mace mitzvah. It's someone who dies and is killed and has no one else to bury them. And if that's the case, and the Kohen Gadol comes in contact with that body, the Kohen Gadol is allowed to become impure to bury this person who's called a mace mitzvah, left alone without anyone else to do the ultimate mitzvah of burying the dead. And the rabbis learned something remarkable from here. The Kohen Gadol, the highest person, he has to be always in the state of purity. But true purity is someone that's ready to negate it all and to risk it all to help someone in need who has no one else to help them. And therefore the Kohen Gadol, who is the high priest, who is the holiest, representing all the Jewish people, would become impure to help a mace mitzvah, to remind us all, and him, that ultimately the holiest person is someone who's there to look after those who have no one else to look after and needs a burial. And when I read this, and I thought about what happened today with these remarkable IDF soldiers, and I said, wow, IDF soldiers risked their lives to find these bodies, uncover them, and bring them back to Israel. And I saw Shani Luke's parents said, they said, it's as painful as this is, it does make it a little lighter, because actually the bodies were not decomposed, because where they were was cold, and they were not humiliated too much, and they felt that at least they got comfort knowing that she was killed right away and she didn't suffer for 200 days in Gaza. And I just thought about the courage it took for these soldiers and what the IDF represents. Do we even understand this remarkable self-sacrifice that an IDF soldier will go into the lion's den just to save a body? Not a live person, but they knew they were dead already, but they wanted to bring their bodies to Jewish burial. The IDF soldiers are like our Kohen Gadol. They're the holiest of the holiest, who are there protecting every Jew. May God comfort the family of Shani, of Amit, of Yitzchak, and may God comfort all the Jewish people. May the 128 other hostages come home soon, those that are alive, and those that aren't should have a burial in Israel. And may God bless each and every one of us with the Shabbat Shalom of happiness and joy. Good Shabbat.